Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Filipino ebook before it's gone. When learning a new language, everyone should have an ultimate goal to work towards. Whether you want to be able to connect with a relative, easily order food while traveling, or go somewhere new, having an end goal for your learning can be very motivating. A popular but challenging goal is being able to speak like a native speaker. It's difficult to measure exactly when you reach this goal, and it's not something you can pick up using textbooks alone. So how do you work on making your speech more natural? That's what we're going to look at today. Here are 3 tips to help you practice talking like a native speaker. Number 1, focus on vocabulary. If your goal is to speak like a native, you might be really focused on speaking quickly or using as many complex grammar patterns as possible. But in our native languages, we're not always trying to speak as fast as possible, and we use complex grammar patterns when necessary, not to show off. Vocabulary, however, is extremely important to expressing ourselves naturally. Your choice of words can reveal a lot about you and your understanding of the language. Most learners have had the experience of using a phrasebook or a dictionary to find a word they want to use, trying the word in conversation, and getting a look of confusion from the native speaker. In some cases, although your word choice may be grammatically correct, the word may be inappropriate for the situation or totally unnatural. This is especially important in business and other formal situations, where the right level of formality and professionalism is key. Being able to understand nuances in vocabulary words can also help you understand relationships between people just by listening to the conversation. Try to listen to many different types of conversations. Listen to how people talk to their friends, their superiors, and in customer service situations. This will give you a better idea of how to talk to others naturally. In some languages, you can omit words from sentences or use more direct communication styles. It's important to be aware of these things so you can apply them yourself. Colloquialisms and slang are also commonly used in most languages. As this sort of vocabulary is always evolving, it can be difficult to keep up with the latest words. Talk with native speakers and consume media in your target language to make sure you pick up these kinds of expressions. Media is a great resource for your learning. Ultimately, knowing the appropriate vocabulary to use for each situation will really help you sound more knowledgeable. Number 2, perfect your accent. With every language, there are unique pronunciation and intonation challenges. Some languages are tonal languages, and a change in pitch can completely change the meaning of a word. Then there's the fact that most countries have multiple dialects, and so people from one area of the country may sound different from those in another. So what is the best way to listen to a wide range of accents and different pronunciations? Video and audio resources are a great way to do this. YouTube is a perfect place to start because people from all kinds of different backgrounds upload videos to the platform. You can watch educational videos, daily life vlogs, cooking shows, a travel series, whatever interests you. Pay attention to the different ways people speak. Everyone is unique. And then practice speaking like them. This kind of practice can help you sound more natural. One note, please be aware of the type of resources you're using. For example, if you find a video where a speaker uses a rare dialect, it might not be a good idea to use that for your pronunciation practice, unless you have a special reason for studying a specific accent. As a general rule, it's best to try to search for practice resources that use a standard form of the language you're studying. Number 3, copy what you hear. Do you remember how you learned to speak as a child? We rarely learned new words just listening to them, or reading after we learned how. When we were little kids, we imitated the sounds we heard by repeating the sounds out loud. While you're talking to a friend, watching videos, or listening to audio in your target language, you can do this to try and replicate the way they speak. Doing this will help you work on mastering the flow of the language, your accent, intonation, and pronunciation. Of course, you might also pick up some new vocabulary this way. Make sure to repeat new words often. It's a great way to make sure you remember them. Try doing this using a number of different mediums and sources. That way, you'll be exposed to the diversity that the language offers and master the fundamentals of pronunciation. For example, You can watch and imitate several different YouTube videos and audio CDs, but try a few different sources, like different creators or different audio types, to make sure you experience a wide range of communication in your target language. If you're using our language learning program, you can even get your own teacher with Premium Plus. Your teacher can answer questions, give assignments, and even listen to your recordings and give you advice on pronunciation. Completing these kinds of lessons with a native teacher can really boost your confidence in your speaking skills. Becoming able to speak like a native is a popular goal for many people learning a new language. It feels great to be able to communicate smoothly, especially when the people you're talking to expect basic level sentences or broken communication. Try using the tips we've shared in this video to work on improving your speaking skills. Of course, it'll take time and persistence, but the reward will be more natural communication. And for even more tips on speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hello sa inyong lahat, ako si Erica. Ang Araw ng Kabayanihan ni Dr. Jose Rizal ay isa sa mga pampublikong holiday na ipinagdiriwang tuwing ika-30 ng Disyembre taon-taon. Dito, ginugunita ng mga Pilipino ang kabayanihan ni Dr. Jose Rizal, ang pambansang bayani ng Pilipinas. Pero, sino nga ba si Dr. Jose Rizal? At paano siya inaalala ng mga Pilipino? Sa lesson na ito, malalaman nyo kung paano ginugunita ng mga Pilipino ang mga nagawang kabayanihan ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Alam niyo ba kung bakit tuwing ika-30 ng Disyembre ipinagdiriwang ang Rizal Day? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Una, sino nga ba talaga si Jose Rizal? Sa araw na ito, inaalala siya bilang isa sa mga lider ng kilusang pangreporma na naglalayong gawing pantay ang karapatan ng mga Pilipino at ng mga mananakop na Espanyol noong ang bansa ay nasa ilalim ng kolonisasyon ng Espanya. Ang araw ng paggunita sa pambansang bayani ay ginagawa sa Rizal Park, dating tinatawag na Bagong Bayan at kilala sa ngayon bilang Luneta Park. Sa Rizal Park na tinuturing na isang national park, naroon ang monumento ni Jose Rizal. Isinapubliko ang monumento ni Rizal noong taong 1913 at ang kanyang tulang Huling Paalam o Mi Ultimo Adios ay iniukit sa memorial plaque ng monumento. Mayroong mga seremonyang ginagawa na dinadaluhan at pinangungunahan ng presidente at bisepresidente ng bansa. Nag-aalay ang presidente ng mga bulaklak at pinapasinayaan ang pagbibigay sa bayani ng 21 gun salute. May mga pagdiriwang rin na isinasagawa sa iba't ibang mga probinsya. Karaniwang pinasisinayaan ng mga matataas na opisyal ng probinsya, kasama sa pagdiriwang ang pagtataas ng bandila ng Pilipinas. Alam niyo ba na ipinagbabawal ang sabong, karera ng kabayo at high alay tuwing araw na ito? Isinasaad rin sa batas na dapat itaas ang bandila ng naka-half mast. At ngayon, ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Alam niyo ba kung bakit tuwing ika-30 ng Disyembre ipinagdiriwang ang Rizal Day? Sa araw na ito, binigay ni Jose Rizal ang kanyang buhay para sa bansa. Mula sa kanyang piitan sa Fort Santiago, siya'y naglakad patungong Bagong Bayan upang harapin ang kanyang kamatayan sa pamamagitan ng firing squad. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? Paano nyo ginugunita ang inyong pambansang bayani? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa susunod na lesson! Hello sa inyong lahat, ako si Erica. Ang Kwaresma ay binubuo ng 40 araw mula Miyerkules ng Abo hanggang Huwebes Santo. Ang huling linggo ng Kwaresma ay tinatawag na Semana Santa at nagtatapos sa Linggo ng Pagkabuhay. Sa lesson na ito, malalaman natin kung ano-ano ang ginagawa ng mga Pilipino para obserbahan ang Kwaresma at ang Semana Santa. Alam niyo ba kung saan nanggagaling ang abo na ginagamit tuwing Miyerkules ng Abo? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Ang Miyerkules ng Abo ang unang araw ng Kwaresma. Sa araw na ito, halos lahat ng tao ay nagsisimba at naglalagay ng hugis krus na abo sa kanilang mga noo. Simbolo ang abo ng pagiging pansamantala ng buhay. Ito rin ay simbolo ng pagtanggap ng pagiging makasalanan. Sa buong 40 araw ng Kwaresma, marami sa mga debotong Katoliko ang nag-aalay ng isang sakripisyo bilang uri ng pagsisisi sa kanilang mga kasalanan at bilang paggunita sa paghihirap ni Hesukristo. Sa mga araw na ito rin, ipinagbabawal sa mga Katoliko ang pagkain ng karne at pinapayuhan ng lahat na mag-ayuno. Ang pinakaimportanteng panahon kung Kwaresma ay ang huling linggo na tinatawag na Semana Santa. Halos buong linggo ay dinedeklara bilang pampublikong holiday. Sa linggong ito, isinasagawa ng mga deboto ang pabasa ng pasyon, prosesyon, bisita iglesia at salubong bilang mga paraan ng pagninilay at pagsisisi. Alam niyo ba na ang 40 araw ng Kwaresma ay bilang pag-alala sa 40 araw ng pag-aayuno ni Jesus? Sa Latin, ang Kwaresma ay tinatawag na Quadragesima, na ang ibig sabihin ay ika-40. At ngayon, ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Alam niyo ba kung saan nanggagaling ang abo na ginagamit tuwing Miyerkules ng Abo? Ang abo ay nanggagaling sa mga palaspas na binendisyonan noong linggo ng palaspas ng nakaraang taon. Ang paglalagay ng abo sa noo ay isang paalala na ang tao ay nagmumula sa abo at magbabalik sa abo sa dulo ng kanyang buhay. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? Paano nyo inoobserbahan ang Kwaresma? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa susunod na lesson! Hello sa inyong lahat, ako si Erica. Ang araw ng mga ina ay ipinagdiriwang taon-taon tuwing ikalawang linggo ng Mayo. Sa araw na ito, ipinapakita ng mga tao ang kanilang pasasalamat sa lahat ng ginagawa ng kanilang mga ina para sa kanila. Sa lesson na ito, aalamin natin kung paano ipinapakita ng mga Pilipino ang kanilang pasasalamat sa kanilang mga ina. Bago ang taong 1980, kailan ipinagdiriwang ang araw ng mga ina sa Pilipinas? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Ang Pilipinas sa kasalukuyan ay nasa ika-8 sa mundo at ika-1 sa Asya bilang bansang kung saan mayroong pinakapantay na pagtingin sa parehong lalaki at babae. Kaya hindi na rin nakakagulat na ang araw ng mga ina ay isang malaking selebrasyon. Itinuturing itong day off ng mga ina mula sa pagluluto, paglilinis, pag-aalaga ng mga anak at asawa, at pagtatrabaho. Madalas makikita ang mga anak na nagbibigay ng card sa kanilang mga ina, habang ang mga asawang lalaki naman ay abalang nagluluto ng mga pagkaing paborito ng kanilang mga may bahay. Nakaugalian na rin ng mga pamilyang Pilipino na lumabas sa araw na ito para pasayahin ang mga ina ng tahanan. Sa Pilipinas, tinatawag ang mga ina bilang ilaw ng tahanan, sapagkat sila ang tinuturing na nagbibigay liwanag sa buong tahanan sa pamamagitan ng pag-aalaga sa bawat miyembro ng pamilya. Minsan, kahit kapalit na ang kanilang sariling kaligayahan, mapangalagaan at maprotektahan lamang ang kanilang mga mahal sa buhay. Dahil sa karaniwang malalaki ang mga pamilyang Pilipino, madalas na ipinagdiriwang ang araw na ito kasama hindi lamang ang mga ina, kundi pati ang mga lola, tiya, mga pinsang babae, at kahit sinong babae sa pamilya na may anak. At ngayon, ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Bago ang taong 1980, kailan ipinagdiriwang ang araw ng mga ina sa Pilipinas? Bago ang taong 1980, ipinagdiriwang ang araw ng mga ina tuwing ika-8 ng Disyembre, kasabay ang Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Ngunit, iminungkahi na ilipat ito sa ika-2 linggo ng Mayo dahil ipinagdiriwang ito sa ibang parte ng mundo sa parehong petsa. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? Paano nyo ipinapakita sa inyong mga ina ang inyong pasasalamat? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa susunod na lesson! Hello sa inyong lahat, ako si Erica. Sa araw na ito, pag-uusapan natin kung paano ipinagdiriwang ng mga Pilipino ang araw ng mga ama. Ito ay pinagdiriwang taon-taon tuwing ika-3 linggo ng Hunyo. Dito, Ipinapakita ng lahat ng mga anak ang kanilang pasasalamat sa kanilang mga minamahal na ama. Sa lesson na ito, aalamin natin kung paano pinapakita ng mga Pilipino ang kanilang pagpapahalaga sa kanilang mga ama. Sa Pilipinas, kung ang mga ina ay tinuturing na ilaw ng tahanan, ano naman ang mga ama? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Maraming pagtawag ang mga Pilipino sa kanilang mga ama. Nariyan ang tatay, itay, tay, ama, papa, daddy, at marami pang iba. Mataas ang pagtingin ng lipunang Pilipino sa mga ama, lalo na mula ng umpisahan ng labor export policy ng Pilipinas noong 1970s, nangguna ang mga ama sa pagdayo sa ibang bansa para magtrabaho nang maitaguyod ang kanilang mga pamilya. Para naman sa iba, pinili nila ang pananatili sa Pilipinas kahit na may oportunidad sa ibang bansa na kumita ng mas malaki para makasama lamang ang kanilang pamilya. OFW man o hindi, mahalaga ang papel ng mga ama sa pamilya at sa lipunan. Kaya naman, talagang ipinagdiriwang ng mga Pilipino ang araw ng mga ama. Karaniwang lumalabas ang mag-anak upang mamasyal sa mga mall o parke. Dito, madalas binibilhan ng regalo ang mga ama tulad ng bagong damit o gamit gaya ng pang-sports. Kung hindi man mahilig mamili si tatay, madalas sa masarap at espesyal na kainan napapadpad ang mga pamilya sa araw na ito. Para sa mga pamilyang may amang OFW, hindi mawawala ang ilang oras na pakikipag-usap sa pamamagitan ng Skype at Facebook upang mangamusta at magpakita ng pasasalamat sa suportang binibigay sa kanila. Dito, makikita ang isang halimbawa ng pagsasakripisyo ng mga Pilipinong ama para sa kanilang mga pamilya. Hindi tradisyonal na pinagdiriwang ang araw ng mga ama sa Pilipinas, pero dahil sa impluwensya ng mga Amerikano sa kultura, halos lahat ng tao ay nagdiriwang ng araw na ito. At ngayon, ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Sa Pilipinas, kung ang mga ina ay tinuturing na ilaw ng tahanan, ano naman ang mga ama? Sa Pilipinas, kinikilala ang mga ama bilang haligi ng tahanan. Ibig sabihin nito, ang mga ama ay parang haligi ng isang bahay na nagbibigay proteksyon. Sila rin ang pundasyon at suporta ng pamilya. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? Paano nyo pinapakita ang inyong pasasalamat sa inyong mga ama? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa susunod na lesson! Hello sa inyong lahat! Ako si Erica. Sa araw na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang Kadayawan Festival. Ang pagdiriwang na ito ay ginaganap tuwing ikatlong linggo ng Agosto sa lungsod ng Davao. Ito ay pinagdiriwang bilang isang selebrasyon ng buhay, pagpapasalamat sa kalikasan, yaman ng kultura, at kasaganaan ng ani. Sa lesson na ito, tutuklasin natin kung paano nga ba pinagdiriwang ang Kadayawan Festival. Alam niyo ba kung saang salita hango ang pangalan ng pistang ito? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Isa sa katangi-tanging aspeto ng piyestang ito ay ang kakayahan nitong pagbuklurin ng iba't ibang mga tribo ng Davao, gaya ng mga tribo ng Tausug, Maranao, Kagan at iba pa. Dito rin makikita ang yaman at tingkad ng kani-kanilang kultura. Ang pinakainaabangan sa selebrasyong ito ay ang huling 3 araw ng pagdiriwang. Isa sa mga mahalagang okasyon ay ang hiyas ng Kadayawan pageant. Sumunod dito ay ang indak-indak sa kadalanan. Isa itong kompetisyon ng sayaw na tinatanghal sa malaking kalsada ng lungsod ng Davao. Sa mga sayaw na ito, nagpapakita ng mga katutubong galaw ang mga nagpapakitang gilas na mga kalahok. Tampok rin sa mga sayaw na ito ang makukulay na costume ng mga mananayaw. Sunod naman ang Pamulak Kadayawan. Mayahalong tulad rin ito sa indak-indak sa kadalanan, ngunit naiiba ito sa laki at garbo ng mga kaganapan. Maliban sa mga sayawan, nariyan rin ang mga parada ng mga engrandeng karosa na puno ng mga bulaklak. Matapos ang batas militar noong taong 1986, ang piyestang ito na tinawag na Apo Duwaling noon ay nagsilbing piyesta para pagbuklurin ang mga Davaoenyo. Ang pangalang Apo Duwaling ay galing sa 3 icon ng Davao, ang Bundok Apo, Durian at Waling-Waling. At ngayon, Ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Alam niyo ba kung saang salita hango ang pangalan ng pistang ito? Ang pangalan na Kadayawan ay nagmula sa pagbating madayaw mula sa salitang Dabawenyo na dayaw. Ang ibig sabihin ng salitang ito ay isang bagay na mabuti, mahalaga at maganda. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? Nakadalo na ba kayo sa Kadayawan Festival? Anong masasabi nyo? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa susunod na lesson! Hello sa inyong lahat, ako si Erica. Pag-uusapan natin ang Panagbenga Festival na ipinagdiriwang buong buwan ng Pebrero. Ang Panagbenga ay isang flower festival na dinarao sa Baguio City, ang kinikilalang summer capital ng bansa. Sa lesson na ito, aalamin natin kung paano nga ba ipinagdiriwang ang Panagbenga Festival. Alam niyo ba kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng pangalan ng piyestang ito na Panagbenga? Sasabihin namin ang sagot sa katapusan ng video na ito. Unang isinagawa ang Panagbenga Festival noong taong 1995 bilang simbolo ng pagbangon ng syudad mula sa epekto ng 1990 Luzon earthquake. Ito rin ay ginanap bilang pagdiriwang sa pagsibol ng mga bulaklak ng rehiyon ng Cordillera. Napagdesisyonan na idaos ang Panagbenga tuwing Pebrero dahil walang masyadong kaganapan sa buwang ito, lalo na dahil sa ito ay nasa pagitan ng panahon ng Pasko at Kwaresma. Ang opening parade ay nagaganap sa ikaunang araw ng Pebrero. Matapos ito, iba't ibang kompetisyon na ang sinisimulan, gaya ng drum and lyre competition at street dancing competition sa pagitan ng mga estudyante sa elementarya. Sa buong buwan din ng Pebrero, nagkakaroon ng mga trade fair at bazaar na dinadaluhan ng napakaraming tao. Isa pa sa pinakakilalang lugar sa Baguio ay ang Session Road. Sa ika-4 na Lunes ng Pebrero, idinaraos ang Session Road in Bloom kung saan isinasarado ang buong kalye para sa mga stalls at mga cafe. Nariyan rin ang mga marching band na tumutugtog para sa parada ng mga float na gawa sa mga bulaklak. Alam niyo ba na noong unang idinaos ang Panagbenga, ipinagdiwang lamang ito sa loob ng 10 araw? Dahil na rin sa mabilis na pagtaas ng popularidad ng kasiyahan, hinabaan ito at ginawang 3 linggo, hanggang sa napagdesisyonan na ipagdiwang ito ng buong buwan ng Pebrero. At ngayon, ibibigay ko na ang sagot sa tanong kanina. Alam niyo ba kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng pangalan ng piyestang ito na Panagbenga? Ang Panagbenga ay isang kankanain na salita na ginagamit ng mga tribong nagmula sa bulubundukin ng Cordillera, Igorot at Sagada. Ang salitang ito ay may Malayo-Polynesian na pinagmulan at ito ay nangangahulugan ng panahon ng pagsibol. Kamusta ang lesson na ito? May interesanteng bagay ba kayong natutunan? May kahalintulad din ba kayong pagdiriwang? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa filipinopod101.com. Hanggang sa muli!
Want to transform your driving time into language learning time? How much time do you spend in your car every day? 30 minutes? More than an hour? Why not put this huge amount of time to good use? Instead of just listening to the radio during your daily commute, you could be learning a new language instead. Here are 3 easy methods for learning a language in your car. You can put them to use right away with the help of our language learning program. First, you can listen to fun audio lessons by real teachers. Listening to lessons while in the car allows you to focus on the road as you listen and learn. In every one of our 3 to 15-minute lessons, our teachers teach you conversations, new phrases, and cultural points. Audio is the only learning medium that lets you learn and drive safely at the same time, so take advantage of all our audio lessons available. Second, you can set your lessons on autoplay and go hands-free. Our autoplay feature lets you keep your hands on the wheel without even reaching for your device. Just set your lessons to autoplay one by one with our Innovative Language 101 app, and never have to interrupt your focus on driving to switch to a new lesson. Third, you can repeat out loud and speak from your very first lesson. You want to speak a new language too, right? Well, you'll start learning conversations minutes into your lessons. All you have to do is listen and repeat out loud. Our teachers take you step by step through all of the words, phrases, translations, and grammar points. You're even prompted to speak out loud and repeat. The result? You understand it all and can speak your new language. Turn your commute into language learning time and have fun at the same time. Learning doesn't have to be a big commitment, like signing up for a college class. It can be fun and easy. In fact, it's as easy as pressing play. Our language learning programs will do the work for you. And with the exposure you get while driving on your daily commute, you'll be speaking and understanding real-life language quickly. The best part? You can finally learn without even changing your schedule. So if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Hi, I'm Erica. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Filipino expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Filipino. Are you ready? Here we go. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Hi, I'm Erica. It's nice to meet you. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Did you get it? Let's take it step by step. Start by saying, Kamusta? This means, how are you? But is commonly used to say, hi in Filipino. Next, say, ako si, I am, and then your name. My name is Erica, so I'll say, ako si Erica. Finally, say, kinagagalak kong makilala ka. This means, it's nice to meet you. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Next, we're going to learn how to introduce ourselves in formal Filipino. But first, I'll teach you 2 words that turns any Filipino sentence formal. They are po and opo. Po, opo. All Filipinos learn these 2 words when they are young because they are a must when speaking politely to those who are older. Now here's how to introduce yourself in formal Filipino. Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. How are you? I'm Erica Reyes. It's nice to meet you. Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Did you notice the word po in this introduction? Let's compare it with the informal introduction we learned earlier. First, we have kamusta po instead of just kamusta. As we've said before, kamusta means how are you and has essentially the same use as hi in English. It comes from the Spanish phrase como está. We add the word po to this to make it polite. For the next sentence, there is no need to change ako si or I am. However, saying your full name is considered more formal. In the Philippines, we say our first names first and last names last. Finally, pay attention to the ending. We went from kinagagalak kong makilala ka to kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Ka or you is changed to the plural pronoun kayo to make the sentence more formal. The pronoun is moved to the front of the verb, and ng is added to connect the words. Finally, we also add po to the sentence to show respect. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Filipino is, Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. The formal way to introduce yourself is, Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Now it's time for Erica's tips. Have you gotten hold of saying, Kinagagalak kong makilala ka? Well, you might be surprised, but Filipinos say, Nice to meet you, more often than its Filipino counterpart. This is because many English words and phrases are used in daily conversation since English is the second official language of the Philippines. Filipinos also shake hands during first meetings, just like in many Western cultures. But of course, if you use the proper Filipino introduction, your new Filipino friends will definitely be impressed. Do you know how to say thank you in Filipino? How about you're welcome? Watch the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson to find out. See you next time. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Filipino. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Handa na ba kayo? Are you ready? Then let's go. Here's how we say thank you in Filipino. It's very easy. Salamat. Salamat. Salamat means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add maraming. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat. Marami means a lot, and the NG is a connector added to marami to connect marami and salamat. Maraming salamat literally means many thanks and is equivalent to thank you very much. During the last lesson, we mentioned the informal and formal way of speaking Filipino. Salamat is the informal way to thank someone. When thanking someone older than you need to use the polite formal form. Do you remember what we need in order to do that? That's right. We just need to add the word po. Salamat po. Salamat po. If you really want to thank someone in a formal setting, you can add maraming, which means a lot, as we have just learned. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po. Now, how do you answer? It's easy. Just say, walang anuman. Walang anuman. Walang anuman literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. Wala means nothing, while anuman stands for whatsoever. It is a very common phrase to say when replying to a friend or a stranger who is thanking you. To make it formal and more polite, just add po. Walang anuman po. Walang anuman po. So when someone says salamat or maraming salamat po to you, you can simply reply with walang anuman or walang anuman po. Yes, it's that easy. Now it's time for Erica's tips. The word salamat is said to have been of Semitic origin. It sounds similar to the Arabic salam and the Hebrew shalom, meaning peace. Filipino has been influenced by many languages throughout history, so don't be surprised if you find similar sounding words from other languages, most especially Spanish words. Do you know that Filipinos have a specific greeting during the noontime? In our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson, you learn this and other greetings in Filipino. See you next time. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying salamat. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings used in the Philippines. Handa na ba kayo? Are you ready? Then let's start. First, we'll learn the greetings we use when meeting people. Kamusta? Kamusta. Do you remember this from the first lesson? Kamusta literally means how are you? But it is used as hi or hello. Musta is a shortened version of kamusta, which you can use when greeting friends. Musta, for formal situations, we use kamusta po. Kamusta po. Now, here are sometimes specific greetings used when meeting people. Magandang araw. Magandang araw. Literally, magandang araw means good day. To be more specific about which time in the day we greet someone, we use magandang umaga, magandang tanghali, and magandang hapon, meaning good morning, good noon, and good afternoon respectively. Magandang umaga. Magandang tanghali. Magandang hapon. During the evening, there is only one greeting, and that is magandang gabi. Magandang gabi. Maganda means beautiful or good. The connector NG is added to connect maganda and gabi. In formal situations, you just need to add po to the Filipino greetings I've already mentioned. Magandang araw po. Magandang umaga po. Magandang tanghali po. Magandang hapon po. Magandang gabi po. Are you ready for more? Next are some greetings we use when leaving. To say goodbye in Filipino, we say paalam. Paalam. We also have sige mauna na ako. Literally, all right, I'll go ahead. And it's a more casual way of saying goodbye. Sige mauna na ako. Finally, we have hanggang sa muli, meaning see you again. Hanggang sa muli. Again, to make these formal, we just need to add po. Paalam po. Sige, mauna na po ako. Hanggang sa muli po. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Filipino. Let's review them all again. Here are the greetings we use when meeting people. Kamusta? Magandang araw. Magandang umaga. Magandang tanghali. Magandang hapon. Magandang gabi. When leaving, we have paalam. Sige, mauna na ako. Hanggang sa muli. For greeting people who are older than you, just add po. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Erica's tips. Another famous greeting you might hear in the Philippines is mabuhay. This literally means live, but it's used to mean welcome. It is used in formal situations like when welcoming an audience during events, or when welcoming people into the country, but not necessarily when welcoming guests to your home. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase, nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Do you already know it? I'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the most common greetings in Filipino. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? This phrase can be a lifesaver. The majority of Filipino people understand English. But if you ask in Filipino, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to ask it. Nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Let's break down the sentence. In Filipino, the verb can come before the subject. Nagsasalita means speaking, followed by ka, which means you. Next, there is ba, which is the question marking particle. After it comes nang, which acts as an object marking particle, marking Ingles, which, as you might have guessed, is English. Another common way to ask if someone can speak English is, marunong ka bang mag-Ingles? Literally, this means, can you do English? Marunong ka bang mag-Ingles? Now we're going to make these sentences formal. Filipinos follow the Spanish custom of changing a singular pronoun to plural in order to show respect in formal situations, so we change ka to kayo and then move it after ba. We also need to add po as a sign of respect. Everything else stays the same. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? If you want to be even more formal, you can add mawalang galang lang po before the sentence. It means, excuse me. Mawalang galang lang po. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Excuse me, do you speak English? Mawalang galang lang po. Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? Here are some common responses you might hear. Oo. Yes. Oo. Konti. A little. Konti. Hindi. No. Hindi. Now it's time for Erica's tips. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can use this question with any language you need. Just substitute Ingles with Español for Spanish, Hapon for Japanese, Italiano for Italian, Aleman for German, and so on. Now you know how to ask if people speak English or even your native language. But I hope this doesn't stop you from learning Filipino. We'll be learning more ways to say excuse me and I'm sorry in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase, mawalang galang lang po. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the phrase, mawalang galang lang po, which means, excuse me, in formal Filipino. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use this and other words when apologizing in Filipino. We can use mawalang galang lang po when we need to stop someone to ask a question. It literally means just to be rude, but is used to mean excuse me. For example, mawalang galang lang po, nasaan po ang palengke? Excuse me, where is the market? Mawalang galang lang po, nasaan po ang palengke? There is another phrase we use to mean excuse me, and that is paumanhin po. However, paumanhin po is used when you have bothered someone and could also mean I'm sorry. Paumanhin po. We use mawalang galang lang po and paumanhin po exclusively for formal situations. For informal situations, Filipinos usually just say, excuse me. But if there is something you really want to apologize for, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is, patawarin mo ako. It means, Please forgive me, and is used in informal situations. Patawarin mo ako. In formal situations, we say, patawarin niyo po ako. Patawarin niyo po ako. Here we added po and turned the second person pronoun into plural. Another common phrase Filipinos use for apologizing is, pasensya na po kayo. Pasensya na po kayo. This phrase is usually heard from shopkeepers when apologizing to customers. It can be translated as, please be patient with us. Now it's time for Erica's tips. In the Philippines, it is normal to simply say, excuse me, or I'm sorry, since English is commonly used in conversation. You could also add po to these phrases to make them sound a bit more formal and sincere. Excuse me po, or excuse po. I'm sorry po, or sorry po. Are you able to count in Filipino? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Filipino from 1 to 19. I'll be waiting for you in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned quite a few phrases used when apologizing in Filipino. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Filipino. That's right, numbers, mga numero. And you are going to learn them in only 3 minutes, 3 minuto. Are you ready? Let's start. Isa. Isa. Dalawa. Dalawa. Tatlo. Tatlo. Apat. Apat. Lima. Lima. Anim. Anim. Pito. Pito. Walo. Walo. Siyam. Siyam. Sampu. Sampu. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. Isa. Dalawa. Tatlo. Apat. Lima. Anim. Pito. Walo. Siyam. Sampu. Great job! Try to remember these numbers by heart because you'll see them again in bigger numbers. Do you know what is before isa? Here's a clue. It's almost the same as in English. It's zero. Zero. Now let's continue from 11. Labing isa. Labing isa. Labindalawa. Labindalawa. Labintatlo. Labintatlo. Labing apat. Labing apat. Labinlima. Labinlima. Labing anim. Labing anim. Labimpito. Labimpito. Labing walo. Labing walo. Labinsyam. Labinsyam. These numbers may seem longer and harder to remember, but they basically follow a simple rule, which is labi plus connector plus the numbers 1 to 9. In Filipino, the connector is usually NA if the letter before it is a consonant, and NG if the letter before it is a vowel. In this case, since labi ends with I, then we'll be using the NG connector. However, NG sometimes changes its form depending on the letter that follows it. For the letters D, L, R, S, and T, the G from NG is dropped to make it easier to pronounce. 12, 13, 15, and 19. If a P follows the NG connector, the NG becomes an M, just like in 17. Now it's time for Erica's tips. Filipinos don't exclusively use the Filipino way of counting. As I've said before, English is commonly used in the Philippines, so it is very common for us to count in English as well. But that's not all. Sometimes, we even use the Spanish way of counting, especially when telling the time. Now you know how to count up to 19. But why stop there? Next time, we'll learn more about numbers. Do you know the Filipino word for 100? Find out in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 19. Do you remember them? Well, let's not stop there. Now I'll give you the tens. 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90. Just like 11 to 19 from the last lesson, the tens also has a common formula. It is the numbers 1 to 9 plus connector plus pu. As I mentioned, the connector is usually NA if the letter before it is a consonant and NG if the letter before it is a vowel. I also mentioned that if a P follows the NG connector, then it becomes an M. Now here's one more thing. If the vowel before M is an O, then that also changes and becomes a U, just like in 30, 70, and so on. Finally, one last thing to note is that for the number 10, we say 10 and not isampu. Are you ready to try making compound numbers out of the numbers we've learned? I promise it's easier. How would you say 56 in Filipino? Let's take it step by step. 50 is 50. Just add and, at, in its contracted form, and then 6, anim. So it will be 56. Done. Isn't that easy? Let's try another number. For instance, 98. Take 90, 90, and add at, in its contracted form, then 8, 8. 98. Ready for more challenge? How do we say 100 in Filipino? It is 100. That is, isa, which is 1, followed by the connector NG, then daan, which is 100. Now let's try counting up to 999. For compound numbers in the hundreds, the formula is numbers 1 to 9 plus connector plus daan plus numbers 20 to 99. For example, 169 is 169. One thing to note is that daan becomes raan when the NA connector is used. For example, 492. 492. For compound numbers with 1 to 19, you have to add an at after saying the 100. For example, 401 is 400 at isa. And now it's time for Erica's tips. Conjugation may be the trickiest part in learning Filipino, but it is done mostly to make sentences sound more natural and easier to pronounce. So don't worry if you can't nail it down yet. People will still understand you. Just keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it. Can you believe it? After only 2 lessons, you can now count up to 999 in Filipino. In the next lesson, we are going to put your number knowledge to use. Do you have all the skills you need to go shopping in the Philippines? Let's learn it together in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the previous lessons, we learned how to count in Filipino. I hope you spent some time practicing the numbers because they will come in handy today. We're going to learn how to go shopping in the Philippines. Before we go, you need to know how to say, how much is this? Magkano ito? Magkano ito? Are you ready to go shopping in the Philippines? Let's go! You see something you like and want to ask a shop clerk how much it costs. First, you might want to say either ate, older sister, or kuya, older brother. It's common in the Philippines to call a sales clerk ate or kuya to show respect to them. Ate, magkano ito? Kuya, magkano ito? Magkano means how much, and ito means this. To be more polite, you just add po to the phrase. Ate, magkano po ito? Kuya, magkano po ito? If you want to be more specific when asking, how much is this, and refer to a certain type of object, we need to add the connector ng to ito, and then the object that you want to buy. For example, a hat is sombrero. Ate, magkano po itong sombrero? Or, Kuya, magkano po itong sombrero? How much is this hat? Ate, magkano po itong sombrero? Kuya, magkano po itong sombrero? The shopkeeper will usually answer by simply saying the price. 100 piso po. Or even the price without the peso. 100 po. You might also hear them use the word lang, meaning only, or just, to imply that the price is cheap. For example, 100 piso lang po. 100 lang po. What is 100? I'm not telling you. Okay, it's 100. The hat costs 100 pesos. Now it's time for Erica's tips. It is common to haggle in Philippine bargain markets, so when buying, don't forget to say, may bawas pa po, meaning, is there a discount? Just remember, it's easier to get discounts if you're polite, so don't forget those pos. Happy shopping! At this point, can you count pesos in Filipino? We are going to learn how to do this and much more in the next lesson. I'll see you in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase, magkano ito? How much is this? In this lesson, let's see how we could answer that question by counting peso in Filipino. In the Philippines, the currency is the Philippine peso. In Filipino, we say it as piso. Now let's see the denominations of the piso. For coins, there are 1 centimo, 1 cent. 5 centimos, 5 cents. 10 centimos, 10 cents. 25 centimos, 25 cents. Piso, 1 peso. 5 piso, 5 pesos. And 10 piso, 10 pesos. For bills, here are the denominations. 20 piso, 20 pesos. 50 piso, 50 pesos. 100 piso, 100 pesos. 200 piso, 200 pesos. 500 piso, 500 pesos. And finally, 1,000 piso, 1,000 pesos. As you might have noticed, counting cents involves a different counting system than the Filipino one. If you guessed that it's the Spanish way of counting, then you are right. The Philippines was under Spanish colonial rule for over 300 years, and it isn't uncommon that some Spanish words are still being used today. However, the spelling could be different at times. Aside from the cents, here are some of the Spanish numbers which you might encounter when dealing with prices. 15, 15. 20, 20. 25, 25. 30, 30. 40, 40. 50, 50. They're usually said on their own without the currency. However, when said with it, we don't say piso, but rather pesos. For example, 20 pesos. Now let's try to say prices in Filipino. Let's start with 34 pesos and 50 cents. 34 na piso at 50 centimos. Again, we use a connector between the number and piso. Then we add at, meaning and, in between the piso and the centimo. 34 na piso at 50 centimos. Here's another example. 268 pesos and 75 cents. 268 piso at 75 centimos. 268 piso at 75 centimos. Are you up for a challenge? Let's try to say prices in thousands. 5,137 pesos and 5 cents. 5,137 piso at 5 centimos. 5,137 piso at 5 centimos. So how do you say 1 million pesos in Filipino? That will be 1,000,000 piso. Now who wouldn't want that? Now it's time for Erica's tips. It is very common to use English for prices in the Philippines, especially for bigger ones, and we also have shortened versions for them. For example, we say 150 for 150. Also, for thousands with the following hundreds denomination, like 1,500, we say 15. This will not work, however, for thousands followed by tens. For example, you cannot say 220 for 2020 because that will mean 220. You should ask your friends in the Philippines if they want to go shopping with you to practice these phrases. But first, you have to check if they have other plans or not. Do you know how to ask that in Filipino? If not, I'll see you in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned how to say prices in Filipino. Keep practicing that. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to talk about your schedule. For example, if a friend asks you, "What are you doing this weekend?" Let's start. To ask a friend or someone you already know, say, "Ano ang gagawin mo ngayong weekend?" Ano ang gagawin mo ngayong weekend? Let's break it down. Ano is what? Ang is equivalent to the in English, but it is sometimes used in Filipino when it wouldn't be used in English. Gagawin means will do. Mo is you. And ngayong weekend is this weekend. The Filipino translation for weekend is katapusan ng linggo, but this Filipino phrase isn't used very often. Weekend is much more commonly used. If you want to ask the same question in a formal way, add po after the word ano and change the second person pronoun mo into the plural nyo. Ano po ang gagawin nyo ngayong weekend? Ano po ang gagawin nyo ngayong weekend? What if you're not asking about this weekend? Asking about a different time period is as easy as replacing ngayong weekend with another word. Tomorrow is bukas. So you can also say, ano ang gagawin mo bukas? What are you doing tomorrow? Or you could also put in a weekday like Lunes, Monday, or Linggo, which is Sunday. Ano ang gagawin mo sa Lunes? What are you doing on Monday? Ano ang gagawin mo sa Linggo? What are you doing on Sunday? So now, if someone asks you, ano ang gagawin mo bukas? Or, what are you doing tomorrow? How can you answer? Here's an example. Pupunta ako sa opisina. I'm going to the office. Pupunta means will go. Ako means I. Sa means to, but can also mean on, in, or at. And opisina means the office. Feel free to replace opisina with any other location. Now it's time for Erica's tips. Ano ang is a very commonly used question phrase in Filipino, which leads this to be always contracted in conversations. Anong gagawin mo bukas? Ano pong gagawin niyo bukas? So, what will you do tomorrow? Now you could answer this in Filipino. In the next lesson, we'll be learning how to tell people your nationality and more with the help of the to-be verb I. I'll be waiting for you in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli!
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2,000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Filipino ebook before it's gone.